The CEO of MyPIllow, Mike Lindell, got a not so warm reception from the Republican Governors Association, which is holding its spring conference in Tennessee. Now, originally, Lindell told Politico that he had flown to Nashville on Monday to attend a 3-day meeting starting on Tuesday, but that only after a few minutes after he collected his credentials at the JW Marriott Hotel, an event coordinator in the lobby told him that he was not welcome, that he was not allowed at any of the official RGA events. Well, now, the good question, of course, is why? Does that have anything to do with his insane conspiracy theories, the fact that he doesn't, that he will not let the 2020 election go despite promising all this evidence to blow the whole thing apart? Oh my God, and it's going to be so overwhelming that Donald Trump will be swept back into office by the Supreme Court. I mean, does it have anything to do with the fact that he makes Republicans look incredibly unhinged, basically? Well, according to an RGA official, Lindell tried to join transportation for members only for a dinner at the Tennessee governor's mansion and was denied. Oh no. Quote, these events are for RGA members only, and Mike Lindell is currently not an RGA member. Oh, man. Oh, good. Yeah, that clears it right up. There's obviously no conspiracy going on, right? Obviously. Well, not quite. If you ask Mike Lindell, there's obviously something else going on. In fact, here's what he told Steve Bannon.
You know what? Steve, this is a cover-up, too. The RGA, Brian Kemp and Doug Ducey, who's the chairman, should be ashamed of themselves for what they've done. It's all part of this cancel out. I think if they're that afraid to talk to me, you think they can talk to a Democrat? How could they have any kind of courage? They're cowards. Both of them are cowards. Either that or they're hiding something that's so beyond anything we can imagine. A personal agenda. It certainly can't be something for their party. It can't be a political agenda because they're Republicans. Steve, I'll tell you what, I never give up and I will never back down. But these guys, boy, they don't back down on their cover up. Whatever they're covering up, they certainly, you got to give them credit. They keep to their guns and they keep trying to be obstructionists for the American people, for their own citizens in Arizona and Georgia. And, I'll tell you what, it's beyond belief when we finally get this to the Supreme Court in 5 or 6 weeks and they pull this election down 9-0, Brian Kemp and Doug Ducey will have to explain. You're going to have Brian Kemp and Doug Ducey front and center. Tell us why you did this, Doug and Brian. And I can't wait for that day when MSNBC goes, you know what? We said it was just a conspiracy, but it looks like it's all true. China attacked our country through the machines. The people were right all along. Why did these people obstruct? And we're going to get answers. That'll be the second phase. They're all going to have to answer.
Oh, well, I mean, look, you got to give him credit. I mean, he's right. He sure does stick to his guns, even if those guns are insane. He's not giving up on it. I mean, 4 years from now, 10 years from now, Mike Lindell is going to be out there, probably living under a bridge somewhere, going, I got the voting machines. I got him. I finally got him. I got the voting machines. Oh, my God. So, completely unhinged. No, it's a cover-up. I don't know what they're covering up, but they're covering up something. Probably China. The election fraud. So, here's the funny thing about this. Not everything he said was complete and utter nonsense. Most of it, yes. But I actually don't buy the excuse from Republicans of, well, we kicked him out because he's not a member of the RGA. Why? Because they let him in before. According to Politico, Lindell has attended previous meetings of the RGA, including back in winter of 2020. So it wasn't long, before that he was actually in. And even when he was there, you had Republican governors that were like, oh, you should run for governor of Minnesota. I think you'd be a great MyPIllow governor of Minnesota. It'd be wonderful. In fact, he was a special guest of former Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell. So yeah, they brought him in. They brought in the crazy. I bet they regret that now. Again, what changed between winter of 2020 and now? Can you think of any event that might have happened between those times that would make certain Republicans a little uncomfortable to hang out with Mike Lindell? Oh, right. Yes. The January 6th Capitol insurrection and the constant talk of voter fraud. I almost forgot about that. Well, I guess the RGA did not forget about that. Remember, the entire conspiracy theory, that started the riot was voter fraud. And it was being spread by Donald Trump and his allies, including people like Mike Lindell, who you just heard is still talking about this, which has really made the Republican Party look 100% unhinged. It ripped the mask off and showed them for what they are. It basically nothing more than conspiracy mongers, essentially. And then Lindell has been doing nothing since then, other than make one unhinged appearance after another. Again, you just heard one of them, and unfortunately, half of all Republicans believe him. They believe him. They think Donald Trump's literally the actual president right now. That you could go up into the Oval Office and Donald Trump would be sitting right in front of the desk. I mean, it's insane. My guess is that these people at the RGA are like, maybe we need to, I don't know, not invite crazy. Like, keep the crazy man out of the conference, despite the fact that he actually did have credentials. I don't know who gave him credentials. I don't know. Who knows? Knowing Mike Lindell, it could be like an episode of Parks and Rec, where Ron Swanson basically just printed off his own credentials and was like, no, you don't understand. I've got a permit to be here. Here's my permit. That's my permit. He just wrote something on a paper. Yeah, here you go. Sorry, that's not an actual permit. But no, this actually might be legit. And then they realized the man's crazy. We should stop inviting crazy. I mean, and the logic here follows that Republican politicians, part of the establishment, okay, the Mitch McConnells and all, they hate their base. They really do. They despise them. But, and okay, let me just add to that. They hate the base. They also hate Donald Trump behind the scenes. Now, they're too much of a coward to go and say that in person. Most of them. Most of them will bend down. They'll kiss the ring. They'll kiss his ass. They'll be like Ted Cruz. They'll even be like Mitt Romney, who will go to dinner with Donald Trump. And then sometimes he'll speak out against him. Sometimes he'll be strong. And then sometimes he'll be like, oh, yes, oh, yeah, no, I totally agree with you, Donald Trump. Yes. Oh, I love you. I mean, that's what it is. Now, most of the base, the useful idiots, love Donald Trump. And so now I think some of that hatred, when I say, Republicans hate their base, I think most politicians do. Democrats hate their base too. I mean, the Democratic establishment thinks that about progressives all the time, that they're idiots, and that they're effing our word, okay? And I'm not going to say that word because it's ableist. But like that was a quote from Rahm Emanuel, a Democratic strategist in the Obama administration. So yeah, the Democratic establishment also hates their base. But there is a difference between the two. While Democrats hate their base, they also ignore them and try to appeal to the Republicans. Whereas the Republicans are afraid of their base. Deeply, deeply afraid. And for good reason. The Republican base is heavily armed and completely unhinged and live in a completely different reality. And so the Republican politicians, they have to be careful about this. On the one hand, they don't want to lose all the corporate donors by embracing Crazyland, but at the same time, they also have to pander to Crazyland, or lest they become targets and lose their positions of power, or worse. So right now, I think they're disinviting people like Mike Lindell because the donors are pretty uncomfortable. And that happens to be better for the mainstream of the party, which is trying to, in some ways, rehabilitate itself so they don't get completely blown out in the next election, but also trying not to piss off their own base. And so they say, well, he's not a member. Say, if you were a member of the RGA, for example, if we were to win election in Minnesota and become the governor, then he'd be part of the Governors Association. And then we'll let him in. Now, what they do after that is anybody's guess. But so far, it's like a stalling tactic. And you can see from Lindell ain't buying it, because he actually is a true believer in his conspiracy. He is a true believer. He has huffed his own supply. And so the unassailable fact here, though, is that Republicans have made the mistake of fraternizing with crazy in order to get an increasingly larger share of a diminishing electorate. And that's what happens. I guess, in a way you could say, fuck around, find out. And they absolutely did. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.